Hello, everybody. Welcome to Gather, Learn, Heal, and Become. I'm Sanna Calvert with Sanctuary of Earth and the Richmond Ions Community Group. Thank you for joining us today in our twice monthly series. We are here to offer healing and shared practices to help us all become. It seemed like such an important topic in a time of great change. We're meeting the second and fourth Sundays at 1:30. And so thank you all for joining us. It's great to see you all, especially some long lost friends I haven't seen for a while. And it's really great to have Megan, one of my favorite people, here to lead our session today. She'll be talking about Embodiment 101, Reconnect with the Wisdom of Your Body. I'll introduce her a little bit more, but what we're going to do first is we're going to have a channeled message. So we start each gathered session with a channeled message, and we'll also end with a channeled message. And then we'll just get into the topic and the practice. So, so just give me a second here. Hello, friends. You are all such a beautiful group and so full of light and love, and with such great hopes and aspiration for this time period of great change. We know that you all are all here to be of great service. And because you know that you're here to be of service, you are being the hope, and you are bringing the hope with you. This hope is more important than ever right now because more and more people are going to be falling into despair. So it's vitally important for each of you, each of us, to stay in our hope, stay in our faith, stay in our bodies, keep finding the path, keep moving towards the light, keep doing that inner work so that we can shine even brighter. So thank you, Spirit. And of course, given the message, such a perfect topic for today with our beloved Megan, who's I think everybody here knows Megan. She's a holistic healer, trauma specialist, yoga teacher, hypnotherapist, dear friend, and just an incredibly talented and kind-hearted person. So Megan, thank you for leading our discussion today. And just a reminder that we do appreciate your donations. If you care to make one of any amount, you could use this QR code or just go to sanctuaryoferarth.org/donate. Megan, handing it off to you.
Okay, gracias, Sana, for such a warm introduction and such a pleasure to be here. And thank you for this opportunity. And thank you to each of you for jumping on today and creating this space, for yourselves ultimately, and then also in support of the collective healing. And like Sana already gave us a little bit of the rundown and the schedule. And so what I would like to do is today we're going to talk about Embodiment 101, as all of you have seen from the title. So we're going to begin with a little bit of a brief discussion about what is embodiment. This is sort of a kind of a hot buzzword. We hear this a lot, embodiment practices, embodiment practices. So just a little bit more discussion around that. And hopefully I can invite you into a little bit more of the expansive awareness around what embodiment could mean to you and ways to integrate that. So we'll move into a few integrative practices that, we'll actually practice here on this call. And then the invitation or the idea is that if they resonate with you, you can start using these, weaving them into your day to day. And we will offer some time as well to do some report outs. So a reminder that this is being recorded at this moment. We can turn the recording off if people are uncomfortable with that. But just with your shares, just a reminder for you to feel into, your comfort and safety with any of your shares and being authentic in this space. So to begin, I really would be curious to hear, what does embodiment mean to each of you or any of you that feel like maybe wanting to share and bring your voice in? When you hear this word embodiment, what comes alive in you? What do you think of? What have you practiced on your own or been invited into? What does this mean to you when you hear this word embodiment?
I can contribute something.
Thank you. It's good to see you, sister.
Same. And is that your nature sounds that I'm hearing? Do you have a lot of sounds?
Correcto.
Nice.
Yeah. the jungle.
Embodiment, there you go. I have recognized how dissociated I have been throughout my life. I didn't even know that was a thing. And I have tons of knowledge, intellectual mind knowledge about all the reasons and all of the ways that I can fix that. But until I actually do the things that help ground me, I'm not able to actually embody the knowledge. So that's
Mm,
what it is meaning to me, is just not just learning about grounding techniques, but actually doing them.
beautiful.
So,
Exactly. Yeah. And so just mentioning that, if I heard you correctly, it's about moving this information into a more felt
down,
state,
yes.
right?
Perfect. That's a perfect way to
Moving
say
from
it.
moving from an understanding intellectually to an embodiment or a knowing, a more intuitive, visceral experience.
Hmm.
So beautiful. Thank you. I paused myself there because we could go into a lot of rabbit holes. But also, I just want to name the other piece that came in as you were sharing, is that talking about this dissociation. This is incredibly common in the world that we live in, that we are primarily beings that function in the mental, in the mind, 50,000 thoughts on average per person a day, usually the same thought over and over, right? The same
Hmm.
thoughts running this cycle. And until that we can start to bring that into the body, it's very different way of living. And we know that our experiences live in our body, anything unprocessed. And when you use that word dissociation, I also want to name that as I'm going through, these brief, this is just a very short teaching of embodiment here today and these practices. But please know that I am aware that the reasons that we disassociate are often due to the understanding on an unconscious level that our unprocessed experiences actually live in the body. And it can be scary to go there because our body is very wise. The unconscious wisdom that resides in the body is very wise. So even it's not necessarily a conscious thought, but it can be the reason it's so hard for us to stay in the body is because it is actually where a lot of some of the, a lot of the fear, the trauma, if we want to use that word, or unprocessed experiences. So it's a loving, compassionate, protective mechanism to kind of stay removed from that. And the trouble with that is that if we can't touch into those experiences of felt real experiences, we also can't touch into the joy. We can't touch into vitality. We can't touch into true creativity, sensuality, sexuality, because we can't numb out, disassociate from one and not the other, because it's living through the body. So thank you for that share. I'm really trying to be conscientious of not going on rabbit holes here today because it's such a big topic that I really enjoy talking about. But thank you for that share and authenticity in that and vulnerability too, Lisa.
Hey, Megan, can you adjust your camera so we can see more of your face?
Sure.
There you go.
Is that better? Thank
Thank you.
you.
Yes,
Thanks for
much
asking.
better.
Did anybody else have anything to come through? And no pressure to share, and all the more reason to be on this call if we don't have a definition of embodiment or a connection to it already.
Well, I guess I would just add that like going from what we think or what we know into our practice, but also into our way of being.
Mm,
Because like when I meditate, I mean that's my practice, but then my way of being is being more present the rest of the day. And so
mhm,
I feel like I want my practice to integrate with the rest of my life.
mhm. Yeah, big topics. Basically, what I want to talk about today, Sanna. Thank you. So what I would say is embodiment to me is living in and through the body. So I'm going to pause, breathe, living in and through the body. And so a lot of times we may see these embodiment practices popped up, yoga, qigong, authentic movement, intuitive movement. Yes, those are amazing embodiment practices. And what Sanna was speaking to around her meditation, I call those intentional practices, where we are carving out, just like we did today, each of you carved out this 60-minute window of your day to be in this very intentional practice And so in the yoga class, it is creating a new relationship with sensation in what we call a body, the physical form of ourselves. And that's wonderful. Please don't hear me any other way, and keep doing that if you're doing that. The second piece is, how do we weave it into our moment to moment, breath to breath, daily experience? How do we bring embodiment into everything we do? And so, again, please don't misunderstand. These intentional practices are awesome. They're deep dives. They're going to the spiritual gym, lifting the weight, getting in there, doing the work. And it's important that we really understand that doesn't check the box off. Then it's about weaving it into our day to day, weaving it into the moment to moment. So it's learning how to live in and through the body. It is, on the most simplistic level, it is, do my thoughts and my words align? Am I saying, yes, I'll do that for you, when everything inside me is like, no? And so we're living in a more authentic way when we start to match up, when we actually feel these sensations, the contractions, the tightness, the tension, the no, the boundary, and we have the courage to move in alignment with that. So it's saying yes when my body says yes, saying no when my body says no. And so you may ask, well, how the hell do I know what my body's telling me? Because as Lisa already mentioned, there's a huge disconnect for so many of us that have been conditioned to live in the mind and to live in this circling of thought. And here's the good news. And Sanna brought in the word hope, and it resonated a lot with me at the intro. There's hope because guess what? This is an innate ability we all possess. We know this very well as infants. We don't even have language centers developed in our brain at this point in our lives, yet all of our experiences are sensory. When do I need to pee? When do I need to poop? When do I feel safe? When do I need to be held? When do I need to eat? And even as adults, we can at least all tap into that, right? We know the pain in our stomach or the growling or the grumbling, and we listen to that sensation and that experience. That's a felt experience, right? That is embodiment. And so it's taking this as steps and steps and steps and baby steps, poco a poco, to where we can start to weave this into our relationships with ourselves, our relationship with nature, with professional friends, our intimate relationships. And the last little piece I'll say on this, and then if anybody has questions and we'll move into practice, I want to just make sure I give you guys some of that. So the practices are the weavings, right? Like these are going to be the tools that you can try out today. I always say chew on them, swallow them, spit them out, whatever resonates with you. But the last little piece is like, living in the mind is exhausting. It's the time traveler, right? It's either in the past, thinking about what we just said, what we did, locked in frozen time, a story that was created when we were young that we're continuing to play, predicting the future, controlling, manipulating, in a sense of looking for safety, right? Our future, and we're not present. And as we've already talked about, it cycles and it repeats, and we stay looping in this mind, and it is exhausting. And when we're faced with choices and decisions, we don't know how to trust ourselves because there's so many damn stories up here. And are we going to be a good person if we do this? Are we going to be considered a bad person? Are we going to be loved? Are we earning love? So all the stories. And so just dream this if you could, just like you know that hunger is real, that I need something, I can get my needs met. It's a good message. It's sensory. What if you could start tuning into these sensations more regularly? What if you could be attuned to the relationship of these sensations and what we call our physical form to actually guide you through the day? And so you're not phoning a friend. You're not asking mom's opinion. You simply ask yourself. And so it's about also recognizing that we're not only our body or physical form, and it is an equal partner in my existence. So to discount the experiences and the knowledge and the information and sensation coming through is a disservice to ourselves. And if we could simply, the way animals move, right? They sense threat. They don't need to look on Google and know if this tree is poisonous or whatever. They just trust that sensing and that knowing, and they take a step in the other direction where they're being guided. And so the more that we are able to attune to these sensations and trust, we don't even have to go up here. We don't even have to go into the past, and we don't have to predict the future. And by the way, that's a very limiting way to live. It can serve us. It's not that the mind is unnecessary, bad, any of that. It's just that we rely way too heavily and give it way too much authority without also checking in with the sensational experience within us. And so it just brings us into not only a much more authentic way of living life, and our authenticity creates boundaries, safety for ourselves, for others. It opens up pathways for truth to be spoken in our relationships. And it's also so much better on our nervous system and our experience of just being guided more than reaching out in front and creating and gripping from a story. So I guess I will pause there and just open the floor if anybody has any shares or questions or expressive dance moves or anything that wants to come in.
I have a question. Sorry, my camera's not on today. Can you hear me?
See, we can hear you. Yes.
Oh,
No
yeah, thanks.
problem.
Yeah, so I was just wondering if you are relaxed, does that help you be more present and more kind of connected to your body? Because I do struggle when I have a really stressful job and stressful living situation at the moment. And I struggle, like, say if I have like an anxious thought or a stressful thought, I do feel like I dissociate, like you were saying before a little bit, and I don't feel present. So how can you kind of overcome that and become more connected to your body? Is it a matter of just relaxing and breathing, or just relaxing help you become a bit more connected and present?
Absolutely. You're very
Yeah,
wise in answering your own questions. Thanks for sharing your personal experience as well. And the
yeah,
breath can be your first tool. I mean, the breath is your guide back into the body. And these practices, as we're going to move through them, I think, they're practices that hopefully will resonate with you and can just kind of experiment, try out for a little while. And just remember that we're working with a very subtle form of energy. These are subtle cues, right? So these are subtle shifts happening, and these are subtle practices to integrate. So it's not, so there's like two pieces here of continuing what you're already talking about, of weaving in these integrative practices. The breath is the guide back into the body. And yes, the more that we can activate the parasympathetic, that rest, digest, I am safe system. Also working
yeah,
with the vagus nerve is another way that maybe we'll do another call on activating, growing the vagal nerve, because that's um, our social nervous system, essentially, of being in
yeah,
relationship, feeling safety. But yes, presence and coming back into this calmer state, using the breath as the guide and the tool for that, is a great way to do this workout, so to speak, to grow this muscle of presence. And then the other
yeah,
side of this is just from my personal perspective and experience and knowledge, it would just be, deeper work around what's underneath all of this, right? And by deeper work, I mean in the body work, some form of somatic work. So I hope
okay,
that,
yeah, thank you so much. That makes sense.
yeah,
Thanks.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you for being here, Sadia. Okay, so no other questions now. So let's just move into this first practice. But first, maybe we can just take three beautiful breaths together to just bring ourselves together in this space. And just as Sadia was asking, just working with the breath a little bit here. So you can have your eyes closed or open. Maybe just feeling the support of whatever it is you're resting on. And just take a breath, a natural breath, maybe slowing it down a little, inhaling up And exhaling down. And let's just take another intentional breath, this time all through the mouth, inhaling up through the mouth. And a releasing breath out through the mouth, exhaling down. And on this final breath, I'd just like you to try to keep it all internal, all inside, through the nose. Inhale up. And as you exhale, it's almost like you're breathing the breath down into the throat, the heart, the abdomen, all the way through the sit bones. So just breathing back into the body. And just keeping your awareness right here without working, inviting in, no judgment, no shame, no fixing, no analyzing. Notice your jaw. Notice if your jaw is tight. Notice where your tongue is in your mouth. Notice your thoughts. Notice your experience right now. And then take another breath in through the nose. And we're going to exhale through the mouth and really invite softness into the jaw. Intentional, soft jaw. Notice the other muscles around your eyes, your face. Notice any thoughts. Notice your experience. Soften the jaw. And then as you're ready, just welcome yourself back. If your eyes were closed, open them, coming back into the space. And again, I'm going to offer a lot of opportunities here for people to bring their voice in if they feel called to. There's no pressure, no right or wrong. Any shares on what that experience was like, maybe what you noticed initially of sort of your default, so to speak, where your jaw was initially, and then what, did anything shift, or was there a new awareness around softening the jaw?
I would say I felt the relaxation almost like on a continuum. I like the guided part. When I try to do it by myself, oftentimes the voice comes in that I feel like I have to keep starting over. Eventually I can get there, but it takes long. When you did it, it was like, oh, so easy.
Interessante and right on, especially with, I felt relaxed. And so this is a very easy, accessible, quick, somatic indicator of presence or not. Am I in my body? Am I in my mind? Our jaw is the gatekeeper between the heart and the mind. And so often, most of us, and as we start to check in, building awareness, and Lisa, correct, it's again and again and again and again, we return, building awareness. Whenever I think of it, let me check my jaw. Oh, it's tight. Where am I? 9 times out of 10, I'm not in this moment. For me personally, I'm out predicting the future, trying to plan, get everything aligned, thinking I have control over having something work a certain way. And so the practice is loving without judging ourselves for having a tight jaw. We just make an intention to check on this part of ourself. Call it our body, but it's ourself. I'm closing off an energetic pathway of communication between my mind and my heart. And my heart sends way more messages to the mind than the mind does to the heart. And that is science. And so the jaw is number one of the integrative techniques. So it may look like I'm driving. Something tells me to check my jaw because I planted a seed. I have an intention. Oh, I'm tight. Where am I? Oh, I'm thinking about the future, yada, yada. Okay, I just soften. And immediately when I soften and I release the tongue from the roof of my mouth, I'm activating my vagus nerve when I do that. Automatically, whether it feels conscious or not, my body in that moment is shifting into a rest and digest experience. Just like that. And cognitively, consciously, mentally, we may not know, but we don't know all the communication that's telling my heart to beat, my lungs to breathe, my cells to do whatever they do, right? So trust this. You can trust this. It's like the dashboard on our car. When the red check engine light comes on, check the engine. That's what this is for us. So that's number one that I'd like to invite in for you to just play with. And again, all it is, setting an intention to check on my jaw and soften it as often as I can remember. And you just build on that, build on that. And likely you're going to notice these muscles soften. You're going to notice the neck. You're going to notice the shoulders. And that's all the messaging that you're sending. It's just melting through your body. And as Lisa mentioned, I have to come back to it again because I'm going to be tight again in probably 60 seconds, and that's okay. You know, that is the human experience. Okay, so the other piece of this one, we've already tapped into it a little bit, talking about the jaw. 2 concepts, 2 words, 2 experiences, 2 knowings, and these are your foundation for embodiment work and integrating it. Contraction, softness. When I notice contraction, underneath it is generally fear. It is typically a no. It is typically, I don't feel safe. So when the tightness, the tension, when you start to notice this, at a minimum, I please invite in, pause, breathe, honor this sensation and the message that it's bringing to you. And it may be, hold on, I don't feel safe. What is this? Okay, let me pause, breathe, touch in. And then maybe I'm like, oh yeah, I am safe. Body says yes now. So it can just be that pause, but it is something to notice. It's a speed bump, if nothing else, right? Slow down, evaluate, touch back in. When we notice the softness, the ease, that's usually what we want to follow. That's a little step in that direction. And so the dreaming it awake that I invited in the more beginning of this is like, what if that was all we did in life? Like, what if it was like, oh my God, I feel my muscles tightening. I'm just going to go the other direction. And I feel really soft and light and with ease and maybe a little bit of like fun energy. I'm going to walk that way. I'm going to talk to that person. I'm going to stay right here because it feels really good in my body. And maybe there's a moment that's about to come through. Maybe there's some type of message or experience or witnessing of beauty. If I were to just listen to how good this feels, and then my body's like, oh yeah, stay here. So this is how we can start working with this. And so we may feel, I really want to give an embodiment. That's what we're doing, of contraction and softness. So you may feel funny. I invite you to be in as much vulnerability as you feel safe in this moment, leaving your camera on and participating. And also, if it feels safer for you and you want to practice this, turn your camera off and honor that there's no judgment. And what I would just like each of us to do is just start to create contraction, intentional, balling up the fists, bringing in the shoulders, tightening the jaw, tightening the eyes, and just notice where the body automatically kind of wants to go in this state. In. It's kind of collapsing on itself. It's balling up. It's dissolving. It's becoming small. All of this feels like fear to me. Fear of not being good enough, fear of being seen, fear of being heard. So that's my experience, and I'm just going to see what's your experience in this state. Maybe there's judgment here too, but just really feel the contraction. And if the mind wants something to do, ask it to notice the contraction. All we're doing is creating a neuro imprint, becoming familiar with what this feels like in my physical experience. And we're learning this now so that we can notice it more easily. to be able to be guided by this wisdom. So just take another 2 slow breaths here, contracting, allowing the upgrade to happen. And then just release as you're ready, slowly. And maybe shaking here. You can see what feels true for you. If there's anything the body kind of wants to release. And again, space to bring your voice in. For me, I really didn't enjoy that. My body's kind of like wants to shake that experience. Not that it's bad, it's a message. It's also not where my body wants to be all the time. So contraction. And then, as you may guess, we're just going to move into softness. And so I'm going to go ahead and lean into my chair. And I'm going to roll my shoulders up and back because we're really just like amplifying this experience for the body. Because all we're doing is getting an upgrade, right? We're creating imprints. And see if you can turn your palms up in a symbol of surrender, a symbol of vulnerability. Maybe you can even call in just a big yes for you, an experience, an enjoyment, a desire, something that feels really yummy in your body, really in your heart. And with every exhale, just soften more and more into the softening. And just ask the mind to become familiar with this indicator, with this message. And just notice if even the lips might want to smile just a little bit. Just take another 2 breaths here. And welcome yourself back, and anything that the body wants to do. This feels a little more like a rollout for me. And so again, we're working with a really subtle shifting, a really subtle experience, a really subtle energy that we're remembering how to attune to. So these practices are also really subtle. And so please, it's great if you get a big aha or something comes through, and also try to trust yourself, trust the wisdom that's in this more physical form, and trust the process. And knowing that this process is very different for each of us. And again, the body can be a scary place for us to return to. So I hold a lot of love around that, a lot of just recognition that this process is different for different people based off of our lived experiences and what we still are holding in the body. And so it really is dipping the toe in, and it's growing our capacity to stay in longer and longer and longer without forcing. It's that delicious discomfort, that kind of like effort and ease, because we're not trying to push, right? We're really in a time of guidance, right? Of receiving guidance and being like following. So, okay, one more for y'all. Actually, kind of 2 more, but this one I'm gonna really need an active person here, somebody that has an experience in what we call our body, our physical form of discomfort. Maybe it's an injury, maybe it's something you're having this morning, slept in your bed in a different way last night. Is there anybody that feels safe or comfortable to share if there's an experience like that in their physical form? And just maybe like 2 to 3 sentences of your experience with.
So Megan, I can share.
Thank you.
Years, constant upper back pain. And I know it's tension, but yeah.
Yeah. Can you say just 2 more sentences on it? Upper back pain, its tension, years,
Um,
maybe how this experience impacts you, or
Daily pain.
Mhm.
It's gotten to the point where it's so tight that it's yeah, it needs layers and layers of unraveling is what I feel. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you very much. And so what I'm playing with here, and this is a little bit more in the left brain and cognitive. So there's value. We honor the mind, y'all. We just don't want to live there always, only. Alice, if you were to have that share, and we're talking again about the body, and we're using the word it, we're pointing to it over there, it back here. And please don't hear this as you're amazing and have done everything perfect. The new experience is, what if we take the T out of it? What if we take the T out of it, and what are we left with? I. So when we start relating to our physical experience of ourselves, not as a separate entity, an it over there, we start internalizing and building a new relationship with these experiences. I have pain in my shoulders. I have had this for years. I feel like I need a constant unraveling. And I think I hit some of your language there. And even that last one, it just resonates with me with significance. You know, even if we kind of looked at it from a little more holistic lens of, I need unraveling, right? And so when we put this into the body and we kind of separate it out as an it's this separate thing from us. And we can also it kind of can create less compassion. We start to get mad at it. We get frustrated with it, understandably. It's created this is my work as well, y'all. It's a reprogramming of language and relating to myself. So the invitation with this, without taking too much time, and is just if I could start working with my language, which will inevitably, um, start to shift my thoughts and my relationship, my awareness to my physical experience. How does that resonate hearing that, Alice? And I hope it didn't sound like a this thing, because it wasn't meant like
No,
that.
not at all. I think it was very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. So one more short one, and Sadia, I believe. I'm kind of feeling you on this one as a nice practice, but just as a review, we've gone through the gatekeeper of the heart and the mind, the brain-heart coherence, soft jaw, indicator light on the dashboard, somatic indicator, set an intention. If you do have a practice in the morning, you don't have to do anything, but just put intention. I want to check on my jaw, right? Don't create a story. Don't create a good and bad, a shame game. All I do is notice if I'm tight and I soften. Okay, trust the process. Look for the contraction, feel, sense, listen, smell, taste, whatever way it comes in. Sense for the contraction, pause, come into the body, notice, move from that space. Sense for the softness, pause, come into the body, move from that space. Embodiment is living in and through the body. Thoughts and words aligning. My yes is my yes, my no is my no. Take the T out of the it. Let's reclaim this part of ourselves. Let's reclaim this. Let's take it back to infancy. We do know how to do this. It's a returning to a more natural state of existence. And it's a practice. And we're all on this call in it together. And so the last piece here, this is called the sacred pause. And I think Alice, you may know this one. Some of you may have done this with me before. I love this. This is from this wild monk in LA. And I really enjoyed this practice. He also talked about his snack jacket. He had a jacket where he had pockets with snacks, and I just love that part too. So that just came in honoring him. So I would invite this in, and this is a nice integrative tool. I'm going to guide it a little bit slowly with a few more breaths. My invitation with this is to set your alarm, I would say 5 or 6 times a day. And this is exactly how I work with it. I love this one, and I feel like it's had profound shifts for me, subtle shifts, and it's really enjoyable. And I even have done it with a partner before, where we would sync up on these when we were out together, and then you're in this experience in relation with another, in a sacred pause with another. And I also just forewarn or suggest, like, set like a nice, like, soft, twinkly alarm, like not a bomb shelter alarm, right? Because this is about dropping in. And whatever you're doing, wherever you are, you pause, with reason, and you move through this. And you can have eyes open or eyes closed. And in fact, practicing this at some point with the eyes open is like super Jedi, because that's where even more distractions come in. So if we can have our eyes open the way we live and be in our body, like, spiritual gangster status. So that's a great, great way to practice as well. So I call this the sacred pause. We're just going to move through a couple breaths, and it's just a way to pause, come in, ground, and then go about your day. Okay. So just finding, and actually I'm not going to cue much more than that, because a timer goes off, and exactly where you are with whatever you're doing, you take a breath in and invite the experience of softness. And so as you exhale, you can just experience, imagine, sense, feel softness pouring through you, trickling through you. Maybe it's a color, maybe it's an energy, a texture. Invite softness. Taking another breath in. Listen. Listen with your ears as far away as you can in your external world. And maybe you can try to listen with other parts of yourself. Can you listen with your heart? Can you hear your breath? Take another breath in. Breathe into the body and notice any places that you're connected to the earth, to the physical plane. Just ground, orient to where you are. You are here in this moment. Feeling gravity, feeling Mother Earth, feeling a connection, maybe support even. Take another breath in. On this final breath, just touch gratitude. Maybe gratitude for your breath, gratitude for getting a green light. It doesn't have to be super profound. These small gratitude touch points really add up. We're conditioned with something called the negativity bias. So we're conditioned to actually look, remember, and commit to memory immediately. Threat. It's a protective mechanism when we lived with the bears. And so we actually have to work to notice the good, to savor the positive, the warm, the fuzzy, the things that are all, so many things that line up just for us perfectly every day. And so just one more time, just a little faster as you may move through it in your own life. Inhale, softness. Exhale, softness. Inhale. Listen. Take another round of breath. Connect with the earth. One final round. Touch gratitude. And then open your eyes, welcome yourself back to the world. And so again, you can move through that even more quickly. It may be relevant. It may be relevant. Like maybe you're in a space that you don't have a lot of time, you can stay longer. So just know there's no right or wrong way. It's just about softening, listening, grounding, gratitude. And this is the spiritual gym. So it's just like all my years of rugby. I did not go to the gym and start deadlifting 240 pounds day one. I went back and I picked up a weight again and again and again and again and again. And this is the same thing here. And so, Sanna, do we have time for the 3-minute song, or you think so?
Yes.
Okay.
To tee that up that you sent
Yeah,
me.
cue that up. And the invitation here is you could guide yourself inward with, I've given a lot of tools, but maybe just being present in your sensational experience as you listen to this really short song. So just breathe, maybe soften jaw, look for contraction, look for softness. There may be spaces in you that are, some are contracted and some are super soft. Just start to practice right now for just a couple of minutes and just allow yourself to be in sensation.
Okay, I'm going to just check the settings again real quick here. Okay.
How you gonna get free this time? Falling into a blue sky mind. Came to me in that song, my friend. I just wanna go back again. Hey.
Breathing.
Mother standing right next to me. Showing me what I need to see. Hey. Rain is falling into my mouth. Flowers blooming all up and down. I found in and through the body. It's in and through the body. All along, in and through the body. All along, it's in and through the body. All along, in and through the body. All along, it's in and through the body. All along, in and through the body. All along, it's in and through the body. Rain, it be falling from a monsoon cloud.
Gracias, Sanna. On the mic, DJ Sanna. Okay, y'all. So that wraps things up for what I was going to share. I think, Sanna's going to close us out, but we've got about 8 or 9 minutes to bring your voices in, bring your experience in, and just anything that's alive here. If you feel like sharing, or you have this space.
I would like to talk something out.
Por favor.
I had this realization when you said take the T out and you're left with I, and so you're bringing yourself back to your body. And with so many other practices that I've learned about, it's about creating space between you and the thought. Like you want to separate from that thought. Like I am not my thoughts. So when I have self-talk that isn't helpful, like I want to create space with that. And it's just so funny that, oh my gosh, like I feel like I've done everything wrong my whole life. And wrong, I'm putting it in quotation marks because you don't know what you don't know. But it's such a weird juxtaposition maybe of recognizing, no, you want to connect to your body. It's your thoughts where you want to create the space. And it's like, oh my God, when does it end? Yeah. So does that make sense? Like what I just said, does that kind of...
Yeah, it's a beautiful aha. It's a beautiful emergence of putting these pieces together for you to be like, ah, and that's even an embodiment experience, right? When it all became more than just a thought, it became an experience in the body. And the difference is from the thought, yeah, we wanna disconnect, we wanna be aware of that. And the body is the experience, right? It's how our soul gets to be here. It's how our soul navigates and gets to have the experience. And what we know is that thoughts are more etheric or feelings, right? So we can feel something and not actually have it embody. An emotion is energy in motion. So it's when we actually have the courage, the vulnerability to soften and allow that anger, which is a feeling out here, because I can know anger and I can know I'm pissed and all this. And until I actually have the courage, vulnerability, is the roadmap, into my body to say, fuck, to allow there to be an expression, it's a feeling versus an embodied emotion. Right. And so that's the teaching of like, we want to come back to that experience. And yes, there's a time and a place and appropriate ways in all of this. And the work of like the psychosomatic world is that we actually need this energy, this movement. And so if we're disconnecting, if we're creating this it out here, even though it's our body, is us, is carrying our soul and our experience, we are not living an authentic or full experience in life. Because again, that anger, that sadness is the same level of experiencing joy and love in a bigger, embodied, full way. So this is where embodiment is so important. Not only are we paving a path of authenticity, not just for us, but we invite others in that way without inviting. We just create a pathway for others to step on. It's mainly, number one, to take care of ourselves, to give ourselves such a full opportunity of life. So yes, Lisa, you want to be in there. No matter what the feelings are, what the experience, the sensations are, you want to grow the capacity to keep the hand on the hot stove longer and longer. Right? Thank you for that share.
Yeah, I'm going to think about that. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Megan. That was such a great lesson and embodiment, and you bring so much wisdom in that little package of yours.
Thank you, Sada.
With her rugby self. It's so powerful. Bench pressing 200 some pounds. I mean, if you met Megan in person, you would just go, holy cow.
I had to throw that in there, y'all.
I know she's much smaller than I am, and she pretty much, showed me how she tackles people, and it's like, whoa. I was like off the ground. And anyway, that was beautiful. And so in our last couple minutes, I want to go over a few things, and the very last thing we'll do is give away a free 30-minute one-on-one with me. So make sure you stay on. Just first of all, just a reminder that we very much would appreciate your donation. If you have not already donated, I know that some of you have already, so thank you so much for your generosity. The next session will be, so we're the second and fourth Sunday at 1:30. The next session will be me talking about getting unstuck. And I hope in one of our upcoming sessions soon, we'll have Lise talking about astrology, because she's going to be offering an astrology class with Sanctuary of Earth. So she and I will put our heads together. Maybe it'll be March or April. And so make sure if you're not already on our email list, pop your email in the chat. Tina, I have a Gmail address for you. I just emailed you. So if you have a new email, then let me know. But maybe check your spam. And Paul, I have a Gmail address for you too. Megan's going to be also scheduling a breathwork class. So hopefully March or April. So make sure you get the newsletter so that you can be sure to register for some of our new classes. I will be offering Reiki 1 and Reiki 2 next month, probably next month. And so, Paul, if you want to finish up your requirement for that, I'd love to give you your certificate. So, so again, make sure you're on our email list or come check back on our website. We'll probably have Claire Empathy starting in April. Okay. So, oh yeah, I was also going to do another channeled message. So I'm going to also pull a tarot card. Okay. Okay, so we got the Magician card, but it came in reverse. All right, so what Spirit's saying is that people, you have so much magic within you. And this time and this place and this era is, as Lise was saying, it is time for you to discover that within. You were born with it, and then we have all forgotten our soul's purpose and our gifts. And that is by intention, because when you rediscover your magic and your truth and your wisdom, then it becomes readily available for you to share with others. If you have always lived with that knowledge and the magic, then it would be like breathing, and it's hard to teach somebody else how to breathe or how to walk. So this is all about intention for you to do your inner work and discover your magic, bring it to your embodied practice and into your body and into your daily life. And that is your gift to the world. And it is so needed right now. So thank you, Megan. That was just amazing. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And the last thing we'll do is give a free 30-minute one-on-one with me. So Megan, could you pick a number between 1 and 5?
Oh, okay, 3.
3. Okay, so that's Alice. So cool. Alice, get a 30-minute session. I think Alice won the last one as well. So Alice, you're a very lucky woman. Okay, so any last words or thoughts?
I want to say, I was just going to say thank you, Sanna. Thank you for inviting me. I really enjoyed this, and thank you all for being here. And it's just so nice to see everyone. It's like a little homecoming. And Sario, bienvenido. Welcome to the family, the tribe.
And congrats on your moving into your new place there in Costa, Megan.
Hallelujah.
I'm gonna go search for plane tickets.
See.
Okay, everybody. Hope to see you on March 9th at our next Gather meeting. Thanks for joining. Good to see you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Megan.
Bye.
Thank you.
Megan, stay on.